Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Grill Nation show with Jason Grill. I'm your host, Jason Grill. Thank you for joining us today. If you're listening on podcast, if you're joining us on social media, on my YouTube page, all of the above, we greatly appreciate it. As always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on grillnationshow.com. Also on YouTube, there's a page called the Grill Nation page where you can watch all of our shows, see all of our guests, and learn more about each and every one of them. I'd like to thank our show supporter and show sponsor today, Landmark National Bank. Their website is banklandmark.com. It's great to be back with everyone, by the way. I hope you're having a great summer so far. Another great show coming up today. I'm very excited to get started. So let's do that. We're going to bring on the air right now Jason Carter Solomon, who's the Senior Vice President of Landmark National Bank. Again, banklandmark.com. Jason, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, Jason. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
Doing well, sir. What is new in your world? I haven't seen you for a while. The last time I had you on was it must have been about 6 months ago, maybe, or more or longer.
I think it was longer than that. It might have been 8 or 9, but yeah, it's been a while. So yeah, no,
I just started at the bank.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
How's it going?
It's been a ferociously busy year, so I'm very thankful. You don't want to complain too much because we all know what the opposite of that looks like given the COVID downtime we all had. So just very thankful to be interacting with great businesses and great customers. And just a lot of good headwinds on the horizon for the bank and I think Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. Any hot topics you want to talk about that you're seeing as far as the customers and clients you work with that they're facing right now?
I think there's obvious things such as inflation and interest rates rising. I think we continue to see businesses that are adaptable and very astute at handling these challenges as they happen in real time. And so we're thankful for that. We're also thankful for the ability to be trusted advisors and consultative with our host of clients and prospective and businesses in Kansas City. So we feel like we add real value given the experiences of the bankers that we have on our team. And so I think that makes us a good partner in the Kansas City Metro. And we look forward to helping folks as they continue to handle those challenges.
Yeah, are people's businesses are they really rising right now? As far as, you travel, you see other cities, you see other states, and, Kansas City is getting a lot of good press right now as far as kind of, living here and growing a business here. And I noticed the city's doing different things with trying to make development easier. What are you seeing from people that you talk to? I mean, I understand all the national issues going on with costs, but seems to me we're still in a pretty good spot here in KC.
Kansas City remains a tertiary market that is a little bit of a hidden secret still to some out of town folks and capital investors and businesses. And so I think what we see is that people appreciate Kansas City for its affordability and for its stability. And so I think the economy here is well diversified. Other people are catching on to that still from the coast. And so you still have investors coming into the area. You have local developers and local businesses that are, frankly, taking advantage of increased interest in Kansas City as a intermodal and distribution hub. Those businesses bring ripple effects in the economy that are positive. So there's still a long ways and a lot of room for growth in Kansas City. So our businesses and the people that we bank are very positive about the metro area, and so are we, despite some of the national anecdotes about the economy and rising costs and inflation.
Mm-hmm. So who are we talking to today? Who are our guests? I'm excited to learn more about our guests today, and let's preview the show before we bring
absolutely. I am really thrilled to introduce Miles McCune, Travis Helgeson, and Ashley Resner to you today, and they have joined together in the last 24 months, formed a company, Range Realty, whom have just continued to impress me with their overall marketing and sales prowess and their customer service. I've had the great fortune of partnering with them to help them get great businesses put in great buildings around the Kansas City metro. And I financed some of those, obviously, as a banker. But they do a whole host of things, such as investment sales, leasing, all within the commercial real estate sector, particularly office. And I just think that they're a great group. And it's really awesome to see another entrepreneurial real estate group blossom and come out of some of the great shops in Kansas City. And I don't want to say too much because Ashley is a marketing impresario, and I don't want to mistakenly say anything and steal her thunder. So when you bring them on, they will tell a great story and a great entrepreneurial journey.
I'm hoping you'll chime in with some fun stories as well.
For sure.
We'll bring them on here in just a second. Again, you can connect with the Grill Nation Show on Twitter. You can connect with me at Jason Grill and at Grill Nation Show. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Jason Grill. Love hearing from folks in the Kansas City area and across the country. Love to talk more about what I do and also connect with the radio show. And again, thank you for all that Landmark National Bank does, banklandmark.com. Just a great crew of people over there. When we do the show with the leaders over there, it's always fun. One, because they're such great people, but two, because they always have great guests that they bring on the show, which today is no different. I'm going to change my screen here, and then we're going to bring on our guests on the live stream here. One by one, we'll do that. And let's do that now. So we're going to start off and welcome in Miles McCune, Ashley Rezner, and Travis Helgeson to the show. They are the founders of Range Realty Partners. Miles is the president, Travis is the VP, and Ashley is also a VP. So very excited about this show today. Welcome to the show, everybody. How are you?
Great.
Doing nice, guys.
It's great to have it. I love having a lot of squares on the live stream here. I'll make you all bigger as we go, but also I love having a lot of different opinions, and it's great to see your team on the show today. Let's start with Miles. Miles, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey. I'd like to get to know each and every one of you first before we dive into your company.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jason, thanks again. Both Jasons, thank you for the opportunity. We're excited about this, the podcast. So I am originally from Wichita, Kansas, went to University of Kansas for college, met my future wife there, and we moved down to Dallas for a few years. And I actually sold baseball tickets for the AA franchise for the Texas Rangers for a few years. That was sort of my entry into sales. Then I got
a hard job, probably.
It was difficult. We sold, it was not unlike the Monarchs, very similar situation. It was called the Frisco Rough Riders. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great training ground for sales, a lot of cold calls. We had to sell a vision. It was a new ballpark. So we had to really understand kind of how to sell a story and sell a vision. And I think more than anything, just I had to make a lot of calls. And so it's served me well, I think over my career in real estate. And then I got into real estate. I met a guy, sold a luxury suite to a guy that worked at JLL. And he sort of introduced me into the business. I went to work with him for a few days and was intrigued by the industry and ended up going to work for a small boutique firm in Dallas for about a year. And then my wife and I decided that Dallas wasn't, the long-term home for us. So we decided to move back to Kansas City, and I've been here since 2004. And I've been in the commercial real estate business since 2004, really focused on office leasing and tenant reps. So that's sort of the history of how I got to where I am today in terms of just my career.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that background. Let's move to Ashley next.
So Ashley Resner, let's see. I went to UMKC, was not thinking about real estate, ended up at a developer in 2008, which was a fun time to start in real estate. Worked there for 5 years and then came over to Cassidy Turley, which became Cushman & Wakefield. I was head of marketing locally, did a lot of fun creative projects from industrial, multifamily, retail, and primarily office. Really met up with the guys probably a few years ago, but as far as my background into kind of how I got here, was, mostly that developer and kind of loving that creative role, and kind of fell into marketing, which is not my background too. It's more engineering.
Very cool. And then we'll close with Travis here, Travis Helgeson.
Yeah, so I grew up in Kansas City. I've got two younger brothers, and for the better part of our younger childhood, we were on the tennis court. And so that kind of forced us.
Where were you on the tennis court at?
Out south was, I would say we had a tennis court in our neighborhood, and my younger brother, my middle brother, is a year younger than me, and we basically would just try to kill each other for better part of our childhood. And so that was a good thing. It was a bad thing, but it caused me to end up going to UT in Austin. And then I transferred to Georgia, all for tennis. At that
Nice.
time,
I think I remember you on the tennis circuit growing up. Remember your name.
Yeah, at that time I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. Realized that living out of a suitcase, traveling, throughout most of the year was just not something I wanted to do. So I tried it for about a year. It was a good experience. Got to see some different parts of the world. Came back, and as most athletes, or I guess you could call us an athlete, we were on a 5-year program. So when my eligibility was up, I stopped school, traveled, and then realized I didn't want to do this long term. So I came back, finished school, and tried to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And met with a few guys, old tennis players, and wanted to do something that was somewhat in line with, the competitive nature of just, being on a court and trying to figure out how to survive. Mm-hmm. So ended up getting into commercial real estate, wanted to move back to Kansas City. That's where, all my family is, and ended up getting a job at Kessinger Hunter, which is a boutique firm here in KC, and that's where I met Miles. Wow. So that was 2010, and we've essentially worked together since then. Yeah,
it looks like you won 2 national championships, so let's not leave that out at one of your schools. At least that's on your LinkedIn bio.
For some reason, I can't hear.
Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me, Jason?
Yeah.
We'll confirm that on your LinkedIn bio. It says that you've won 2 national championships in tennis at University of Georgia. So, congrats. We'll bring it back to you in a second. I will say, I was out in California recently in Pebble Beach, and I met some people from one of your old jobs at Cushman and Wakefield from St. Louis, and they were there for a corporate outing for 3 days playing the best golf courses in the world. So I'm hoping while you all were there that you did have some fun corporate outings as well. But anyways, can you hear us, Travis?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. So great background on everyone. I really appreciate it. Let's go to Jason. So, actually, let's go to the group. What's the relationship with Jason been like and Landmark?
Fantastic.
Oh, amazing.
Excellent.
Got to get that out of the way, Jason.
Yeah, I did not pay these guys to say that this isn't a paid appearance.
Okay, so take us through like Range Realty Partners. Like, how did that happen? I know it's fairly recent. You guys all talked about your backgrounds kind of in this world. Why Range Realty Partners, and what is it, and how did you decide to start it?
Yeah, I mean, so Travis, Ashley, and I all met in 2015. So we had about 5 years together at Cushman, and we really enjoyed our time together. We also were able to be, we had a lot of success in approaching the business in a little bit different way. We pursued a lot of business. We had a lot of wins, and it sort of clicked. So that was a fun 5 years. But as that company got bigger and eventually went public, it felt a little bit too corporate for us. I think all 3 of us individually kind of came to that conclusion. Ashley left Cushman about a year before Travis and I, and then COVID hit. And COVID, like a lot of people, COVID allowed us to pause and sort of reflect on where we've been and where we want to go. And I think, we just thought, Travis and I initially, we were still at Cushman together, and we just thought, there's got to be a better way. Could there be a better way to service our clients, to have more fun, and approach this business in a little bit different way? Is there an opportunity in Kansas City? And ultimately, obviously, we decided that there was. But the first call that we made was to Ashley. She was at another firm outside of real estate at the time. And we called her and we just said, look, here's kind of what we're thinking. Is this something you'd be interested in? Because we, Travis and I knew we could probably do it, but Ashley really would complete that for us if she was, willing to take the leap. And then ultimately she was, and we're really grateful for that. So that's sort of how the journey started. I mean, it took a lot of late nights and a lot of conversations, but and I think clearly the most stressful part of this whole process was the time leading up to jumping off the cliff. But now that we're 14, 15 months into it, we're not looking back, and it's been really fun.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Were you guys at all nervous about starting this, or was there apprehension, or did you take any risks, or is it just like, this is too good to be true? We have to do this again. We got to get out of this corporate world. We want to run our own company. Was there any long nights or restless nights, or was it full blown steam ahead?
I left, like I said, a year before. Was like, oh, I'm going to go to Stinson and, kind of take a pause, try a different industry, still be in real estate. I was also running corporate finance, business development, and was there a month or 2 months before Miles was like, hey, I have a great idea. And I was like, I literally just quit.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great decision. And to be honest, we have great synergies together, great working relationship. We're friends, and so we've been having fun, and it's fun to kind of brainstorm on like, hey, how are we going to take this down, and let's go hunt.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So what areas of expertise do you offer? What do you provide? I know on your website, which is Range Realty Partners .com, you have the different services you provide. There's 4 of them essentially. Let's talk through those, and so our listeners can better understand the work that you all do. Because some of this stuff is we need to put this into layman's terms for those who aren't as active in the world as you are in this industry. So, do you want to start, Travis, or?
Yeah. So Miles and our background has always been specifically on the office side, whether that's representing a company with their office lease or relocation, or a company looking to purchase a building. And on the flip side, we have a handful of clients on the agency leasing side, meaning we represent landlords trying to fill up their buildings. So when you look at the landscape of Kansas City, it is very much driven by local ownership, entrepreneurs. It's not the big box corporate institutional groups. And so we saw a shift in the real estate industry, mostly on the brokerage firms, where these bigger firms, there's more mouths to feed, and it became almost a transaction-driven, essentially size. So if you weren't a certain size, you just automatically are starting to calculate, well, how much time can I spend on this deal and really provide value in return? What's the return on that time? And when you look at Kansas City, it's all small businesses that really drive the growth. And I think that through
Entrepreneurial
COVID,
small businesses.
Absolutely. And I think through COVID, you're starting to see that. I mean, the groups that are still not back in the office are companies that aren't headquartered here, that have a location, and that whether it's a call center or back office support, those are the groups not back in the office. But then on the flip, you've got groups that are really generating a lot of transactions because they recognize that we're losing our culture, our character of who we are by continuing to be remote. And that's why I think you're seeing really cool companies, not necessarily taking risks, but leading the charge as far as we're going to go to a nicer space, or we're going to buy a building because it's going to create more advantages to us as we win, or as we compete on war on talent. So long-winded answer is we're a full-service commercial real estate firm that focuses on companies on the office and light industrial sector, whether that's purchasing, leasing, and then full analysis of how can we be more efficient with the use of our space.
So there's a lot of workplace strategy in that office. Our foundation is office, but we have branched out because of our client base. Again, entrepreneurial Kansas City has made us be more entrepreneurial, which is a big reason why we started Range. We wanted to be able to service, the 5,000 square foot tenant that's growing, and not only help them find space but maybe help them with the marketing. So we do offer marketing services as a standalone. Do you need a logo as we're creating something? Do you need a website? We will do that soup to nuts. And then later on, are you ready to purchase the building, or maybe you have purchased the building and you've outgrown it? How can we help you sell it? So we don't want to just come in once. We want to be your partner for the duration of your business.
What's up with the healthcare real estate services too?
Yeah, so when I was at Kessinger back in, I started there in 04, and I'd say in 06, 07-ish, I started to do quite a few deals in the healthcare field, primarily with general dentists, pediatric dentists, orthodontists, endodontists, and that's evolved over time. That's a really sort of a niche market in Kansas City. There's a group of architects and contractors and others that work in that field. And we built sort of a good little team where we were able to help those clients through the process. Mm-hmm. And that's evolved into, today, where we're still working with a lot of those groups in addition to others, including some large, local healthcare providers. So that's been a niche that we've been working on for a number of years.
Mm-hmm. For those that aren't familiar with some of your properties that you work with, give us some general highlights of where they are, or kind of where most of them are, or where, if we've heard of any of them, it'd be great to know.
Yeah. So on the office side, from a leasing perspective, we have properties that we work on all the way from downtown to the plaza and out. We're currently sitting out south in Hallbrook right now, but we've got about 1.5 million feet of office property that we lease on behalf of owners and investors, both locally and nationally. Some of the buildings that we work on that you may have heard of are, Hallbrook, I just referenced. Here at College and State Line, we've got a couple of buildings out here. We just sold some land out here as well to a company called KVP Foods. So we work out south on that property. You might know Mike Culp and that crew, but they're just right here across the hall, or they're going to be right here across the way from us. They're building a beautiful building at College and State Line. If you haven't seen it, the glass
quite interesting company. Is like they're the biggest, KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. I don't know all of them, but I know KFC for sure. Franchisee. I mean, it's pretty cool what they're doing. So that's cool. That's a cool background story that they're going to be in there with you. Yeah, so you guys are kind of I'm looking at the website, rangerealtypartners.com, and, some of these office spaces look pretty cool. Very cool, actually. Kind of jealous.
Yeah, I would these guys are being a little modest.
Thank you. I was trying to put it up on the tee for you because I looked at a picture of a guy swinging a golf club in one of these offices here. So
I think if you really look at what they've been able to accomplish in the small time that they've been a unit cohesively as a company, it's very impressive. I would tell you, in my years in the business, I have seen some brokerage shops come and go that form as boutique shops, and I think they may oftentimes struggle to get assignments or transaction volume. So it's really, they must have something really special to, one, get the caliber of assignments that they are getting as a new entity, and the volume of transactions that they're doing. So I would say two things. They must have a good sales and operations process put together. And I think that we're talking a lot about real estate as an asset and a class and usage, but they are showing, I think, through their activity, a prowess in entrepreneurial and operations within their business that is second to none to really get this much momentum so quickly. So my hat goes off to you, just seeing some of the assignments you guys have been awarded. It's very impressive. And I have no doubt we're going to continue to see more. 1.5 million square feet. We're probably going to see another 1 million in another year. Probably you're going to have to hire some more folks.
All over Kansas City too. Plaza downtown. Obviously you talked about Leawood. I'm looking at the site again, rangerealtypartners.com. It has all their properties listed and beautiful photos of all of them and kind of what's available. You talked about marketing. Tell us about that. soup to nuts, frontline and back end marketing. Ashley, what's that all about?
So as you are looking at our website, you can see a lot of these are packaged, 20 through 45 grand, for example.
I used to
Marketing is
office
so
in that building,
important.
by the way, at a law firm. I worked
Have you
at.
been in it recently?
No, I had a great view of the skyline. I remember from my office at my law practice back
Yeah.
then. But
Yes,
it was always a
the
very
views are
hot
stunning.
commodity because of the views that it had.
That and they just put a bunch of amenities in. Brand new fitness center, brand new lobby, brand new gather space that Jason actually was part of a panel that we hosted there. Monarch Coffee has their secondary location, but marketing played a key factor in that building. It was sleepy. It was the Lathrop and Gage building. And when those owners came in, we were like, you can do all this stuff, but we really got to sell the message. We can, sell your building, show it all day long, but, let's package it. Let's create an identity. Let's tie it to the crossroads. You're walkable to the crossroads. And that's where marketing really has always played. But again, back to that entrepreneurial Kansas City, we've run into a lot of great companies that are just need a logo, need a website. Can you help me with that? In addition to helping me find space, I enjoyed your customer service. Would you be willing to take on some of those marketing things? Just make me a sell sheet, make me an investor package. I do a lot of those as well. And just kind of helping our clients from, all the way down to here's your space. We have, relationships to help you move in, to help you find furniture, but we can also help you, have your identity online. Your identity doesn't stop with your space and bringing
Mhm.
your workforce back, but how do you attract them online? How do you show them how innovative you are and growing and professional? And those are the things that we can help do. And
That
then
seems
again,
like
back to
a good add-in that I've not heard that other companies do that in your space. So that's pretty entrepreneurial and innovative.
yeah, we have fun. And then we do the same thing with our properties. We make it personal. What's great about that space? How can we make that as its identity? How can we bring that, elevate that brand? And so we do that for the property, for the company, and beyond.
Very interesting. We've talked a little about, kind of the offers that you have, and, you can get into some of your customers or clients, but what does the process look like? If I connect with you all online, or if I show up at your office, kind of what does that look like as an entrepreneurial, big growing company? What would I expect when I connect with you?
Yeah, that was one of the things that we really that was a big driver in why we started Range. Similar to Jason's business, it's not a one size fit all approach. Every company's different. That what they're looking, and a lot of times they don't know what they don't know. So we approach it just as if we're founders of a small business. How would we go about handling our own real estate as now owners of a business? So our approach is understanding, asking the right questions. What's important to these businesses? What are they trying to achieve, and how does the real estate fit into all that?
Mm-hmm.
And so it starts with, we are an extension of their real estate team, and then through that, it's identifying and developing an actual strategy that allows them to achieve what they're trying to, through real estate, through growth, through talent, etc. And Jason's been instrumental with us on a few clients in being able to get creative, adaptive, and find a solution with this ever-changing world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like you offer a lot of value besides the typical company, and you're nimble, and it's apparent on your website that you guys care about kind of hard work, compassion, honesty, all of it part of your mission and values as we go, right, Miles?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the pillars of our company. It's all about those three things: honesty, hard work, and compassion. One of the things I've been saying a lot recently, life's short. You got to have fun. You got to treat people the right way. This industry in particular, there's a lot of puff. There's a lot of flash for, people sometimes think that they're maybe a little bit better than others. And that we don't roll that way. That's not the way that we're going to operate this business. That's not the way we treat people. And that's something that's very important to all three of us. And as we bring on people like Melissa Gall, who we might talk about in a minute, who we couldn't be more excited about, it's all about bringing on the right people and having fun and doing things the right way. And it's real simple. So we'll continue to do that. That's going to be the most important thing as we grow.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that briefly. And we're with the founders and, the individuals from Range Realty Partners, great company here in Kansas City, and Jason Carter-Saltman with Landmark National Bank, banklandmark.com. Growth. What are you looking to do here in the next few years around growing your business? I know that's an entrepreneurial question and something that changes, but you obviously have had a lot of success so far. Is that something you're interested in? Are you going to continue to be a boutique firm? Or are you going to really try to, hopefully you don't become what you left, but maybe you could be somewhere.
Yeah, I think the market will speak to, what we end up becoming ultimately. I think we want to be slow and steady a little bit and be, strategic about how we grow. I think in terms of adding people, that's something that's going to be important to us, but it's going to be, really important that we find the right people to add. We don't want to just add bodies. Melissa, who joined us about 3 weeks ago, came from another field in the law field, but she has all the things that we think are important. She's a really hard worker. She's smart. She cares. She treats people the right way. And those, I think if you find people like that, regardless of their industry, you can set them up for success. That the business is not that complicated. It takes a minute to understand it. But, we feel like one of the things we can offer is a setting where if you don't understand the industry, we're going to help you understand it and be successful. Not to say that we wouldn't bring people in from the industry, but for Melissa in particular, she wasn't in the industry. That didn't really scare us. So people we will add over time when it makes sense. And then, service lines. I think, as Ashley referenced, I don't know that, the marketing thing where, that has evolved into, people have reached out and asked for our help and we've been able to help them. So, and we're seeing that with some other things, potentially property management here in the near term. And there's just other natural fits that we feel like we can offer. And we're only going to do that if we feel like it can really benefit the client and make sense. We're not going to stretch. We're not going to go do, storage units or whatever the case might be. But if it makes sense and it sort of speaks to us, I think that we're going to add it and I think we'll be really good at it. So that's the plan.
Mm-hmm. That's a great plan. And it sounds like you're going to make some smart investments in your business and learn as you grow. Let's talk about lessons learned. What have you learned so far on this journey, as a young company that you think will help you in the future, or maybe something that you didn't expect? Who wants to, Travis or Miles?
Yeah, I think, one of our, maybe our fears that we had was taking the leap. How important was, past clients with the name of Cushman & Wakefield, JLL, CBRE, having that name behind you, those resources to really bring value to a client that has multiple locations. Could we still service them, and would they recognize what we could bring to the table as value? And I think what we realized was a lot of these clients stayed with us because of us, not because of the name behind us. And so it allowed us to really create, a brand, values that were important to us, and it reflects with the clients that have chosen to continue to work with us.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point you made about the challenge of if you're at a big company, or a big foundation or a big whatever, when you leave, will the same people that valued you in your relationship beforehand still value if you're on your own or at a smaller
Absolutely. Company? I mean, you really see, right when it happens, okay, because we're a transaction-based industry, and it's not, as soon as we, take our foot off the pedal, then you're always looking for where is the next transaction. And we really felt that at, as I think this industry is becoming more corporate, that's just not how you can service a client when it's all transaction based, but but it comes through when you communicate with a client.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that goes back to what Jason said earlier, as far as like, you know, Kansas City is a little secret here. It's we love this town. We're very passionate about our community. We're very passionate about the projects we work on. And bringing that passion through to a global company sometimes gets a little lost because they're like, well, who cares? It's Kansas City. I'm more focused on New York. And we feel like that's a disadvantage. We know Kansas City is great. We know that our clients are great. We know that, 5,000 square feet is super important in this market, as where 50,000 square feet, it doesn't even move the needle in others. We're not Dallas. We're not San Francisco. We're never going to be that tomorrow. But what we are is a growing and burgeoning city. We have a lot of great things going for us. And so when we are able to get in and provide the services and the innovation that we know that the coasts have into our marketing, into our approach, it's a game changer. We can also talk to that business owner of like, hey, I totally get it. Furniture is hard to get when you're starting out. I have a partner who can do this. We named our company specifically with the word partners. We're partners, but we also partner with great people like Jason. We partner with great people like different furniture, different construction crews, different architects to sit there and say, how can we put the best team together to give the best service to our clients?
Mm-hmm. Well said. Let's talk about some industry updates. If anyone wants to share kind of just some basic industry updates for the people out there who are coming out of COVID, where are we with commercial real estate? You mentioned kind of where the market's at in Kansas City compared to some of those other larger markets as far as size and what people need. But I obviously know that we have some commercial Class A office space coming on here in Kansas City. Pre-COVID, those deals were done. So, what should we expect here moving into 2023 and then, onward?
Yeah, there's no question the world's continuing to change, and there's a direct impact on the office market. But locally, you're seeing a lot of transactions, and most of them are relocations. And there's no question companies are right sizing for the most part. They're downsizing, seeing how they're reevaluating how they're using their space. More impact on collaborative meeting space that is multi-use. But companies are relocating, going into nicer, more value options that create a different type of environment for employees to entice them to get back to the office, but also allow them to still operate from a hybrid model. Most companies, employees are not in the office every single day. I think you're going to see this hybrid model for the next few years. The big corporate, the groups that have 50,000 square feet of back office that support for a headquarters in New York, that are let's say they're in the Sprint campus. Those I think you're going to see less and less of. You're going to see more subleases hit the market, but buildings that offer amenities that have unique positioning in the market, I think are going to win out of default. Buildings that second generation space that's old, that's tired, where landlords haven't spent money to reposition those spaces are going to continue to sit on the market.
Yeah,
there's been a
we need to continue to
quality.
update and improve. It sounds like.
We just recently did a deal, and Miles can add more elaboration to it, out at Hallbrook, where, again, going back to that partnership and flight to quality, we had a SIN. Maybe you could talk more in detail about, kind of how they're going to get their workforce back. And this is a trend that we see hand over fist all day long. We keep doing these deals.
Miles, do you want to comment on that briefly?
Yeah.
Overview.
Sure. Yeah. Large company located in a really great building out here at Hallbrook. They've got, had over 80,000 feet, I think 400 or 500 employees. Everybody went home for COVID. Now they're bringing them back to the office. They had some time left in their lease, and leadership at Ascend has just been thinking through, what does the future look like? How can we make this building make a little bit more sense as we're bringing our people back? So they reached out to the landlord, and we were able to work together to find a solution for them, give them some money and improvements to get the space ready the way that they need it to be ready, so they can bring people back. And in exchange, they did a long-term lease, and it was a great example of a landlord and tenant sitting down together to really figure out something that worked for all parties. That doesn't always work. Sometimes you leave these negotiations and one group feels like they won and the other group walks away upset. That was not the scenario with Ascend. And I think that's always obviously the goal is everybody to feel good, come out of a deal. I would also just add that there's a couple of brokers in particular that I'll see. One in particular, I won't mention his name on this thing, but he every time I see him, he's an industrial broker, and he kind of goes out of his way to come up to me and say, "God, Miles, I cannot believe it. You're still doing office. Are you okay? I've got 5 kids." So he's just saying, "You need help."
5 kids, Miles?
I do, yeah. So I mean, every deal counts for the McCune family, but he just cannot help himself. Every time I see him over the last year, he's probably said it 5 times. I don't know if he's forgotten that he's asked me a few times, but last time I saw him, I'm like, things are great. I mean, the reality is that the office market is shifting and changing, but these good quality product is leasing, and clients need spaces to go. So the transactions might shrink a little, but they're still happening. So office is alive and well. I mean, I think we feel fine about where things are from an office perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really a testament again, it's going to sound like I'm blowing smoke, right?
Jason, can you say anything negative? No.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. This is why I instantly, when we were on that panel together and I got a chance to meet all of you, I wanted to get to know you more, because you picked one of the toughest times in an economic cycle during the pandemic. You picked one of the toughest segments of commercial real estate to focus your business around, and you decided to leave big name firms and start a boutique shop, which is contrary to the movement within the industry. And the fact that you've had successes, I mean, maybe don't give your secret sauce away here, but I mean, there's really something special, because I agree with you. I think office as a segment is not dead. It takes smart folks like yourself that can really offer a lot of value and a lot of consultative support, because users still want space to go to work in. It's just, how do you configure that space? Where do you locate that space? And what assets are going to make more sense than others? And it takes people like yourselves with, decades of experience in order to do that. And so just kudos to you, and keep doing that.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. I mean, I keep seeing cranes in the air whenever I'm traveling a lot. So, I mean, other cities are still growing and finding ways to get Class A done. So we got to continue to be competitive here locally in Kansas City, and continue to grow our, young companies, but also, keep the ones that have been here for a while. Great conversation with the founders and co-founders of Range Realty Partners. We're going to have some shorter questions here, everyone. So let's move to those. Best personal and professional advice. I always like to hear that from each one of our guests, because 1, I can learn from them, and 2, I think a lot of people listening always like to hear from people who have been successful. So why don't we start with Miles?
Yeah, I was told as we were starting this thing, I heard this somebody say that when you're starting a business, I think one of the things that people mess up on is that they try to come up with some creative idea that's never been done before, and there's a reason why it's never been done before. But their recommendation was, why don't you take an industry that's already proven and just make it better, find it out, and disrupt. And I think that's what we're trying to do. I mean, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to do anything too complicated, but there's a better way to do things, and that's been our approach.
I like that. That's a good. I was in Silicon Valley last week, and I was thinking to myself, like, it just things like that, like quotes like that, like what are those quotes? And that's one that makes a lot of sense, when you really think about it. Like, if you already know what you're doing in an industry and you can improve upon it, then why don't you do that? That's a lot easier than starting something from scratch that potentially could be a win or not. Much safer bet there for sure.
Right.
What about you, Ashley?
Probably, listen first, never assume. We do that with our clients. I do that with my kids too. Like, okay, what really happened? Oh, okay, let's work through that. Let's find a solution. You cannot find a solution if you're just going to go in with a bunch of assumptions.
Yeah. That's a good one. And we'll finish with Travis.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a pretty big believer that things happen for a reason. And, you know, we had to kind of relinquish control when we were starting this or evaluating, hey, is this something that we should do? It's easy to listen to just, you know, what's the easy way. But I think that we got to a point where, you know, the fear had kind of subsided and we were focused more on what does our gut tell us? And then things ended up just kind of falling into place and working out that was really outside of our control. So, you know, try as much as you can to just listen to your gut instinctively. What is something that you can really make a difference in? And you might not know the path or how you're going to get there, but things are going to just start to kind of show you. And I mean, that's kind of what happened with us. I mean, we didn't have a full, you know, understanding of how we were going to get through the first year, but we knew that we had something that was unique, and you know, we believed in ourselves, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. If you guys could do one or two things in the next year for your business or for you personally, what would they be as far as, you know, crystal ball of what you really hope for that happens in this next year for Range Realty Partners and maybe for yourself as well, if you want to chime in for that?
I mean, from a business perspective, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think adding property management is a natural fit for us. It's an extension of what we already do well, which is service our clients at a high level. So from a business perspective, adding that service line is something that we're working on and something that's important from a business perspective. Property
management. It's going to be another thing up on the website here soon, Ashley. You got to update that. If you weren't doing this, let's start with Travis. If you weren't working in the commercial real estate and you weren't, you know, starting a business and owning a business, what would you be doing?
Gosh, that's a tough one. So I like to think of myself as a closet woodworker. So I don't know if I'd ever sell anything, but I would definitely be tinkering with some sort of wood.
So you're handy.
I wouldn't call it handy, but I just like, there's something about it.
This picture behind me on the video, a woodworker made for me, just had an Instagram page.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I like it. And I showed up at his house and he had this garage of just tons of wood and he made a business out of it, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I have friends that, you know, have worked in 9-to-5 jobs and they always tell me, and they're not as entrepreneurial as me and some of the folks obviously on this call. And they're just like, man, I'd love to just start like building coffee tables or I'm like random things like that. And I'm like, you can do that, man.
It's addicting.
And just sell a few of them. And then before you know it, you're off. Anyone else want to chime in on that one? That was a great answer. We'll stop with that one. Then what do you guys like to do when you're not hustling and building your business? What's your favorite thing to do, Miles? I know you said you had 5 kids, so.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing, and it's sort of sleeping. Yeah, I do like sleep. I'm a big sleeper. Yeah, I really enjoy my family. I mean, we've got a big one, but it comes with some challenges. But it's the most important thing to me for sure. And so spending time with them. We love to travel. We like to go to the lake. We like to go on a trip or two a year and see someplace new. And my oldest will be a sophomore in high school, so I realize that, you know, time goes quick. So spending time with them is my most favorite thing to do.
That's smart, man. Got to get them out there across the world and see different places. And sounds like college is right around the future potentially as well. Mm-hmm. So you don't look that old, Miles.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What about you two? Anything you want to add to that, Travis and Ashley?
No, yeah, I don't have any kids, so I kind of live through Miles's experiences. So it's always fun on Monday morning to ask, okay, what did you do this weekend? Because my weekends are very different than his.
You still play tennis
the same thing.
Yeah. To Travis, do you ever pick up a tennis racket anymore?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I would say I enjoy it more now than probably my last few years. But yeah, there's a good following. There's a number of local guys that still kind of play, and it's absolutely.
That's awesome. Ashley, what do you like to do for fun? Anything you want to leave us with here?
I'm a pretty avid reader.
Okay,
I will
what's some
read.
good? What's the last book you read that you would recommend to the listeners?
Well, right now I am reading When Women Ruled the World. So that's been a fun one. It's
So for
about
all the women out there you go.
right, a timely book, but it's about the queens of Egypt and kind of what brought them to power, what their reigns were like, and a lot of it was, smoothing over a disruption. How women naturally are able to organize and kind of keep things running and bridge a gap, provide different perspectives. So it's a very interesting, rich in history, but also very timely book.
That's awesome. And we'll close today with, just, a minute and a half about Range Realty Partners. If we can just get you all to share just kind of a, 1 minute kind of overview of Range Realty Partners and everything you guys do to help people or what people should look for when they connect with you, please do so now. Miles, if you want to do that for us, rangerealtypartners.com. Quickly, what you all do and how you can help people.
Yeah. Range Realty Partners is a commercial real estate firm based in Kansas City that we've built really to help companies in Kansas City grow and be successful. We help them whether they want to build a building, buy a building, lease space, or on the other side, if they own a building, they need help filling it up or selling it. We help with that. And we really built the company in the office sector, but we've evolved over time to help light industrial and select retail users as well. So we're a local real estate firm that will work hard for you and help you, be successful.
Very innovative and entrepreneurial as well. I want to thank Miles McCune, Travis Helgeson, and Ashley Rezner for joining us. They are the founders of Range Realty Partners. RangeRealtyPartners.com is their website. I want to also thank Jason Carter Solomon from Landmark National Bank for joining us. Great collaborator with the show. BankLandmark.com is their website. Jason, I want to let you close here. Anything you want to add about our group today or what we've talked about?
Well, again, I've put these guys on the hot seat and put a lot of gotcha questions out there as we did. No, I'm kidding. No, seriously, I can't speak more positively about these folks. We as a bank are always inspired by entrepreneurial folks, and we're always going to stand as a champion for those that get in the arena and give it a shot and give it a go. And we're going to help however we can. We're happy to be helping Range Realty and their various endeavors. We're happy to help their customers and very honored to be able to help their customers achieve their objectives and towards financial success and operational success and what that means for their real estate. So we're just very pleased to have this partnership, and you guys keep doing what you're doing. You're an inspiration to entrepreneurs all over the city and keep helping other entrepreneurs. That's how we keep the city going forward and being great.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
well,
Jason.
we really appreciate all of you. And obviously, thank you for all you guys do for Kansas City. And we're looking forward to seeing what happens with Range Realty Partners. You guys have been doing great so far, and we'll definitely keep in touch. I appreciate you joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks you to the listeners for joining us today on the Grill Nation Show. Again, you can connect with me on social media at Jason Grill and at Grill Nation Show on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well at Jason Grill. Have a great day. We will talk to you again soon. And thank you for listening or watching today. Have a good one.